So I suddenly had an interesting thought about what I'm trying to achieve here. I realised that because I started off reading the exercise of the music on the iPad because I didn't know the notes, and then as the days went on I just carried on doing that, kept reading it just because force of habit, I suppose. And I think that's an impediment because that's partly stopping me from completely taking the whole thing on board in the old grey cells. You know, I've used this phrase, creating new neural pathways for the sequence of movements of your fingers, because obviously your fingers move driven by what's going on in your brain. But I think it helps also not to simply be making the finger moves in response to what I'm looking at, but in response to what's in my brain, i.e. memorising it. So I have no problem about playing without music, but I have got into an old habit, which I suspect many people do as well, that if you start off with something on music, you always use the music. If you start off learning something by ear, you always play by ear. I quite often have found it difficult in bands that I've played with, where I've always played off music because they were proper arrangements, to then do without the music, although I've played the songs many, many times. And it's just because of that, going through that active process of committing it to memory. So I don't know if that makes sense to any of you guys, it kind of does to me. So today I'm going to try and remember what's on there. It's not on, I'm not looking at it, that's why I've pointed it to you. Now that's going to put me back, because what I'll be spending most of my time is doing remembering rather than playing. But I'm going to do this now, and this is going to be my new way of practicing from here forwards. So here goes. So that was quite hard work. There's a sequence to it, and that's the other thing, is I think starting to understand what the thing is, as opposed to just being a string of notes that I'm not making any connection with other than by reading it off the music. To remember it, I have to kind of relate them in some way. I have to create a link in my head between one phrase and the next one. And one thing I thought was that the phrases kind of go up and down the same way, but there's two notes in the middle that are different. So the opening phrase is, and if you forget the next two notes, it's the next phrase, throat, don't know if you get what I'm saying there, but there's two odd notes in the middle that aren't part of the triad coming down, and the triad up a third going up. So that's what I'm going to start practicing now. It's going to set me back, but I think it will help me to break through that barrier that I've been encountering recently. So let's switch off and start practicing. And I've been practicing the phrase without the music there to remind me, so I'm basically trying to memorise the phrase. The effect of that has been to slow down the speed that I can play it at, because memory is a restricting factor as much as techniques, but both actually. Theory being, I'm going to try and bring both of them up to speed, because I think having to read the music was a limiting factor as well as my technique. Anyway, I think you get the drift. I think the process of memorising the thing adds to the process of memorising the finger movements, creating the neural pathways in the brain. It's my theory. So, a bit slower, but here we go. Oh, good start. Oh. is I can't actually remember it all. The bad thing is it still stutters and I make mistakes and so forth, but you know, that's what practice is about. So I'm going to give that one more go. I've probably done that for about 10 or 15 minutes practice since the last film. Didn't do so much yesterday, but I'm actually practicing some other stuff as well. I'm not going to bring that into the videos just yet, but we'll look at that further into the month. I'm giving that one more go.